You're fired, you son of a bitch. Try to get past me. Yo, Dom, over here. Hey, Dom, hey.
Yo, Dom.
There he is. Look at him.
No one is. The only person less tech savvy than me is Dom.
Watch it. Fred Stoller, everybody. Come on.
And
give it up.
It didn't work on my laptop, but I'm on my phone.
Yeah.
Now, Dom and I were talking, but I said, let's save it for the podcast. Dom, I think I forgot all the good stories. He's saying,
you never had him in the first place. You just having you here is a treat. How many sitcoms you been on?
A bunch in the 20 years ago. Guest spots. I'm like the comedian. The comedian did a thing. He goes, I've done a lot of comedy clubs once.
Does that tell you something?
Once. All the biggest. I remember when I did stand-up, they were so excited to have me. And then when they switched me with the middle, and they kept turning back my time. And I always feel so relieved. Fred, we have bad news. What? We only want you to do 30 to set. I go, oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I used to love it. Does
that linger in your body with anger?
No, I used to love getting the light. I used to just love putting things in my calendar, work, and then hope they get canceled. That was my favorite part. Filling up the Remember the month at a glance calendar before technology? Albert, what's your name?
Brian. I'm Dom's producer. Nice to meet you, Fred.
You're too young to remember before computers.
You're supposed to say nice to you back to him.
Nice to see you again. Do you remember before there was computers when you wrote in books like month at a glance?
I still do a little pen and paper myself, but I try to avoid it if I can.
Well, I'm a chameleon. When I'm with Dom, I act like Dom. When I'm with Andrew Hitler, I act annoying. I act
Somebody's
like
begging my girlfriend.
When I'm with your girlfriend, I pretend I'm Dom. I tricked her twice.
You ever touched her in a lewd or unsavory?
Only in a threatening way.
That makes me feel better.
It's only. I raised my hand and said naughty, pretending she was a dog. No, I don't.
All right, let's take that one over with a little energy. What's your favorite one you did? I know people ask you all the time.
Well, the favorite for prosperity was Seinfeld, to be in that diner. Dom, when you were in Seinfeld, were you in Monk's Diner or was it a comedy club?
It was a comedy club.
Yeah, with the nostrils.
Right.
Yeah, the nostrils.
Just to be in that famous Monk's Diner, to be on. I remember, this is what I remember. Now I'm going to do inside stuff, but it's about Italian. So this guy,
we love that.
Hey.
John Manfrotto. Do you know him?
Of course.
I remember. Do you know him, Luther? Or what's your name?
Hector. Hector. No, I don't.
My man. You can call him my man.
That was supposed to be this guy, Hal Spear, used to call everyone Chickie because he couldn't remember names. Remember that? And he'd go, hey, Chickie. Was that the story?
No.
Okay. Well, Manfrotto, I was writing on Seinfeld the season before I got cast. I wrote the episode based on a true story. This annoying comic, Bruce Smirnoff, gave me an Armani suit. And he said, you take me out for a meal, we're even. And he lied. He said it was $1,000. Turned out I heard he went with Peter Fogel to some closeout rack for $200. And he goes, oh, I'm huge. It doesn't fit me. So he gave me a suit.
I'm working out.
He goes, I'm working out. I used to be skinny like you. He goes, you take me out for a meal, we're even. So we went to this place, Jerry's Deli. He goes, meet me at Jerry's. And he got soup and a soda. It was like $20. That was 1994. So that was a lot of money back then.
It's a nice bowl. It's a nice bowl of soup.
Yes. Hey. So he goes, I'm going to save the meal. I'm just going to have soup. And he did that a few times, and that became the Kenny Bania story. So that was connected to, So this guy, John Manfrotto, he came by the Seinfeld offices. He was cut from an episode. There was an episode where Kramer has to.
He was cut, really?
He has to do police lineups, and he.
Yes. Yep.
And his little thing was cut, but he goes, just to be part of a Seinfeld, to show my mother. I was in a clip with Kramer. We're all doing, and so that's when it hit me. it's such an amazing thing. Even if you were cut from a scene to show your mother you were part of Seinfeld.
Yeah.
So I remember, Dom, you know this, Brian, but Dom doesn't know. There's a thing called the table read that starts the joke is that Dom does know and you don't know. The first day they do an episode, they sit around a table and they read the script.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, come down here. You're going to be in a Seinfeld. So I was rushing down there. Of course, this is me driving. I drive like this. And I was rushing there. And I had no idea what I do, but I remember thinking, even if I just have one line in a Seinfeld episode, that's an amazing thing. It's going to be forever. So at the table read, where all the executives sit around and the producers, and they judge the laughs. I was reading the script for the first time, but I remember I played a schmucky guy named Fred.
Mm-hmm.
But Richard's called Pete. So I went, my first one, hey, Jerry, hey, Jerry, hey, Elaine, hey, Jerry, hey, George. And I started laughing. So I knew I was going to be okay. Yeah, I was a schmuck.
You know what they told me? They told me to, Dom, give us a little more of you. I said, what do you mean? We want some Dom in there. I don't know why don't you tell me how to do it and I'll do it.
I used to have that when I did stand up and would audition. They go, do it like you did at the clubs. And I go, well, that was my
it's a little different environment.
I got laughs, and this is going, hey, I like bottle rockets. So, right? Did you ever go do it like your act, like you do at the clubs when it's different?
Of course, it's different. I don't stand up the club and what was I? The prop comic. That's what I was.
Prop comic. Yeah. Was it Ronnie K? I think was the name of the character.
Oh, that's a good memory.
Ronnie
K.
I just looked. Yeah. Have we been 13 minutes? Did it take me 13 minutes to tell that whole first story?
No, I started recording before you came on, just so I don't forget. So
okay.
Yeah.
But
it was like 6. You could cut it down a little bit. If you're gonna do it again on another podcast, definitely make it shorter and
he'll be back.
That's a long story. Yeah. I didn't think it was 13 minutes of pain, but
you got a couple of them.
What seasons were you a writer on Seinfeld? Because I guess that's how you before you got cast, you wrote on the show, right?
Yeah, 94 to 95. Maybe that was the 4th and 5th or the 5th and 6th. I don't quite remember. Actually, like Dom, I started with Larry David in the New York comedy scene.
Right.
And I was at the Improv. I heard him say, let me adjust this, when he said, let's see who could go the longest without masturbating, but you got to be honest. That's my Larry David impression. I remember he said that. I wasn't part of it, but I remember him doing that thing like, come on, you got to be honest. So I overheard that. And so I knew him. And what happened was at the time they were eating up and spitting out a lot of New York comics from his days, guys you wouldn't know, like Bill Masters. Went on to these guys.
Keep naming guys we don't know. Oh, you didn't have him either, huh?
Successful, very successful comedy writing career. Steve Scrovan, Don McHenry, Bob Shaw. So I knew they were eating up and spitting out comics. Hey, got any ideas? And
right.
So Steve Scrovan, a mutual friend of me and Dom's, had a surprise birthday party. I don't know if Dom was at that party, but I remember Larry David came late. I don't want to be surprised like an idiot. It's stupid. You should. Yeah. So he came, and everyone was going up to him going, have you read my spec script yet? A spec script, to Dom and the ones that don't know, is when you show an example of your writing ability. So he goes, how come you never wrote a spec script? I said, I don't like writing something won't get done. He goes, right, well, nothing will happen, but I will read it. He kept saying nothing will happen. And I wasn't going to do it because I wasn't really pursuing. Again, the name you don't know, this guy, Mike Rowe, he had dreams of, he used to watch Dick Van Dyke. I want to sit around a writer's table. That was his dream. That was never my dream, to be a sitcom writer. Well, I'm an idiot. I'm sitting in an apartment with a cat, and all those guys are multimillionaires who you don't know their names, but they brought on sitcoms.
Right.
But I had some ideas, and I ended up being on the 94-95 season.
That's great. Yeah. I mean, who else was like writing on the show then? Were like most of the stories just kind of coming from like stuff that happened to you guys? I mean, more or less.
What happened is most normal sitcoms like Raymond, they sit around a table. Oh, who has ideas? Okay, you two flesh that out. every man was on their own. So you had to kind of come up with your own stories, and no one's really helping you. So you had to come up with a Jerry, Elaine, Kramer, Jerry, Elaine, Kramer, and George story. And when they were approved, you had to map it out. So it wasn't like interactive. No one was really, you were isolated.
It was called lazy.
Yes. The only one you might know, Carol Leifer. She was a stand-up.
Yeah.
I
know Carol. Well, don't know her, but I know she is.
Yeah, Marjorie Gross, who died. She was a stand-up from the old days, and a bunch of people that went on to do really well. There was a guy, Alec Berg, who created what was that show, Silicon Valley? And,
it's a great show also.
And Barry, yes.
Barry's also good. Yeah, I grew up watching Seinfeld. I mean, I was born in 91, so I really caught, I was very young when the ending episodes, like the last couple seasons were out, but I caught, all the reruns, and that was like my kind of introduction to comedy.
Are you a comedian?
I'm not. I just
You're really proving that now. See, I'm stealing Dom's persona. You're really proving that now. Sorry.
Persona.
So you live in Philly?
Well, I'm from Jersey. I live in San Francisco now, but yeah, I grew up in South Jersey in the Philly area.
Oh, well, that's where my friend Vinny, lived in a city called Winona.
Yep. Yeah, I know where that's at.
There was a Deptford Mall, I remember.
Yeah. I'm from like the Cherry Hill area.
Cherry Hill.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
there was a comedian, Uncle Dirty. He used to do this joke. Jersey is the horniest city. Listen to the sucker sauna. Long Branch. Cherry Hill. I mean, he could just do that to anything. Do you remember that bit, Dom?
I'm not talking to you anymore. Yeah, I remember. He was the philosopher.
He was a philosopher, yes. He was influenced by George Carlin, or maybe
that was
thanked him a lot.
I didn't really know him that well. You were there before me at that Improv, and he calls me up. He goes, "Hey, Dom, how you doing? You want to do the show?" I go, "What show?" I go, "Seinfeld." I said, "I haven't seen it." All right. He said, "Dom, it's pretty good, honest." He's talking to me like, "What the fuck am I?" And that's how I got to see it.
Were you on Raymond, Dom?
Yeah, it was one of those fucking shows. Ted Danson had something up my ass. He was a doctor. Yeah, seriously.
On Raymond, Ted Danson had something.
No, he was in Cheers.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about the doctor. He did the doctor show that you were on.
Yeah.
What was that? Becker, right? Becker.
Yeah.
Dom, a friend of mine, besides you, is the biggest Andy Kindler fan, and he wishes he could get the clip. I told him about the clip of when you had the Judge show, and Andy Kindler was like was a lawyer. What was that?
I had to stop the show because I couldn't stop laughing.
Oh, I wish I could see that.
He's like this old rabbi. Hi, I can tell you, yeah. I couldn't. He's parallelly funny, isn't he? I mean,
yeah. I wish I could get that clip. I've been looking on YouTube where he was just like trying to what was the case about?
What show was it? Do you remember? I can try to see if I can find it.
Comedy Court. I can't find it on YouTube.
Supreme Court of Comedy. Yeah.
Supreme Court of Comedy.
Supreme.
So were these real cases, Dom?
No. Oh, wait a minute. I don't know. I said that with such authority.
You have no clue.
No, what are you crazy? No, I don't know. Oh, the Larry thing I wanted to tell you. When Larry, they never knew when he was going to get off the stage. So she would put you under the light so Larry could see you, so he felt like he could run anytime. Like anything could bother him. He could be having a great set, and he goes, what is this dust on the piano? Why don't they dust these fucking pianos? You could have an allergy from that.
And then he would just run off the stage. He would just
occasionally, yeah. These people go, we got to catch a train. You should have known what time the train comes. And it's time at my shop. He was fucking so hilarious.
Yeah. When did he stop doing stand-up? I don't think I've ever seen any videos of him doing stand-up. Was it really more
he's his
writing?
Own little genius, but he's not really a stand-up.
Right.
He never really did like the road or these Jersey jobs or Philly jobs or bars or restaurants. He would just do some comedy clubs, but people knew he was brilliant. He wrote on a show called Fridays It was like a
That's just-
sketch
that's
show
right.
with Mike Richards.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then got writing jobs, SNL, but he didn't fit in. I remember when I was on staff there, he goes, "You should be more assertive." When I worked on Saturday Night Live, I'd sit right by the office. I wasn't included. I'd see them all going to lunch. Not with me. I see you're on your own. You got to get assertive. Look, find me and throw an idea by me. I go, okay, now that I got you, and I throw an idea. He goes, "That's stupid." It goes, "But you're right. I did tell you to give me ideas, but that was stupid, Freddie."
What do you think your like favorite project you worked on, over the years was?
You mean besides this?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously.
Besides, what's the name of our show?
Yo,
You don't even know
Dom.
the name of the show. Yo,
You don't
Dom.
even know where. I don't think you haven't even seen an episode, have you?
This is the best fucking guy we've had on this show, right? Am I right? I'm not just saying that because he's here.
He's up there.
Wait.
I like Eleanor. Eleanor is, a perennial favorite in my
Because
mind.
you want a little.
Eleanor Kerrigan.
You know,
Who is that?
Eleanor.
She's she's a comedian, Comedy Store.
I always get compared to Eleanor Kerrigan. It's enough. I can't live in the shadow of Eleanor.
It's the hair.
Bump into the street. They go, "You're going to do Dom's podcast, but don't disappoint us. No one could be like Eleanor Kerrigan on it."
But that's the only Beatles song that no Beatles played an instrument on.
Eleanor Kerrigan.
Mm-hmm. McCartney played something, maybe a bass, and of course he sang. Look at all the love.
How did you guys get this podcast together? How did this come about from Sam?
I don't know. This room was empty, and some guys were flying in, flying out, and we this little fat Italian kid.
Not me. No, me.
The
other
Dean,
one.
we call him.
No, we we met Dom at the casino. We kind of got him drunk, convinced him.
Really?
To do
what was it? Yeah.
At Philly Live. Yeah, we slipped a couple things in your drinks. One thing led to another. Yada yada yada. Here we are.
I hated that fucking gig. It was great money. It was, the people came. It's a free, it's fun, obviously, but they had folding chairs. Can you imagine for like an hour and a half? These are chairs. Folding chairs are so nice. We could take them with us. I hated that.
Yeah, it's like a conference room setup. You need like at least stadium seating. You know?
That's it.
If it's fold out stadium seating, you got to have at least that. So what did you guys originally meet at the Improv? I guess in what, the 60s or 50s?
That's when we met, Dom, just the New York circuit.
40s?
In the 1940s, yes.
I can remember something in New York State.
Oh, that was the thing. Me, you, and Jack Cohn.
That's another thing. Yeah, that was funny. I forgot
we did
that.
Tell that. There was a job where you do Rochester, Buffalo, and Syracuse. You drive around, and it just, I used to like going on the road because it never, added up. Like, where are these guys friends from? Mike Ivey.
Yeah.
Our friend is this kind of heavy black guy that looks like Fat Albert. People go, where are these guys friends from? It doesn't add up. So one time it was me, this Jewish skinny guy, Dom, a tough Italian guy, this guy Jack Cohn who looks like James Dean, and we're driving around. And
you had the map, right?
Yes, and we didn't have a map. This is before GPS.
Yeah.
This was before the show Hill Street Blues. This was a long time ago, and and I don't know, like I had the map, but I thought I lost it.
You go like this out of your bag. You went, "Hey, is this it? Oh, you motherfucker!" I said, "Pull over." So we pull over. We take him out, act fake it like we're beating him up, right?
Kicking me in the head.
Me and Jack, and this guy runs across the street. He's running. He's going to save Fred, and I go, "That's okay. We're comedians." Like that because it's the license to do that. It's okay. It's okay.
And then
don't do that. You fucking get people.
It's a good story for that guy too.
Then we drove over Niagara Falls, and the customs were saying, like it did. I was sitting in the back, like shivering, and they go, "What do you guys? We had? How long were you in the Canada, 20 minutes. What were you here for? To see the falls. What are you, comedians? Who's he? Get out. And they made us get out of the car.
Yeah, they ripped the car apart. It was hilarious.
Because like they look like they kidnapped me and they were
Are you still doing stand-up now, Fred? Are you still doing sets and stuff like that, or writing, or what?
Nothing like it as this is proving. As I always say, you can't dabble. You got to hang out, and you know. No, I stopped. They took my license away. They said Elegant Corrigan. I mean, this is the new crop of geniuses on podcasts. When Elegant Corrigan, when I used to do stand up in New York, Gilbert Gottfried would go on, and no one really knew the genius of him because, you know, he was great in CERN, but he became yeah. But he would annihilate for an hour, and I'd get so depressed. I'm going to go up and do my stupid jokes after him. You know, he was so good. What did that have to do with anything? I don't know.
I loved your act, though. I'm not going to ask you to do your act. Just some of it would be nice.
Oh, yeah. This thing for all the people watching. I'm going to get some water. I'm going to look for some water.
See, you got up too fast. I tell you, don't get up fast. You won't get that dizzy thing. You don't listen. He never listens.
Sometimes getting a little dizzy's fun, you know?
Yeah, it could be in the right place on the right time.
That's your twist.
You know, we'll take it.
You know, I went to the dispensary, and the dispensary had this, you know, what is it called? The revolving door. So I said, instead of getting weed, I just went round and round in the door and got dizzy. I go, I don't need it now.
You're a clever cheapskate.
Yes.
You should work on that one a little.
I'll work. I feel like I'm workshopping the joke. That's what he would do. He would just,
you know what? Don't do any bits, Ben, because I want you to come back sometime. So,
all right, I'm going to save some bits for the next time. Leave them wanting more.
Yeah, it's hard to do on this podcast too. Yeah, I was saying, but you know, when I first started producing the show, I couldn't tell what was what with Dom. If there were bits, you know, I had no idea what was going on.
Everybody smells some coffee. Did anybody smell the coffee? Honey, I'm in trouble now.
It's just a good thing I can edit. You know, edit a lot of stuff out. You know, that's
Could you replace me with Kathleen Kerrigan? I mean,
the new show's gonna be. We're just gonna call it Yo
Kathleen
Eleanor.
Kerrigan, please amp it up.
Maybe Eleanor's here in this.
I got someone actually to decide, like, give me signals, like amp it up.
So if you're not doing stand up, are you still do you still watch? You know, are you still watching stand up? Are you interested in it at all? Are you kind of moving on to something else?
No, I'll never.
Nothing. You're moving up to nothing.
Depression. You know, I don't know.
I'll never move on. I'll never stop watching stand up. I watch it every second of my waking life.
No, you don't.
I'm just kidding. I'm keeping up. You know, once in a while, I watch these YouTube things and all these bro guys, and a lot of them, they don't do comedy anymore. They're just conspiracies, or like Jamie Kennedy. It's like, oh, the pedophile rings. All they talk about, the ghost rings, this, all of them get like paranoid, and
you got like an itchy scalp.
Yeah,
that's what we needed, a little more dandruff on the show.
I think sometimes
no flicks for the kid.
When people ask me who are the new ones you like, I say like Mitch Hedberg. To me, he's new, even though he's dead.
I loved him.
Yeah, when they go, who are the new ones? It's usually someone 60. I don't know. I mean, I like.
I think Mark Norman's excellent. Have you seen any of his stuff? I think he's a phenomenal joke writer. One of the best right now, in my opinion. One of the best younger
like
guys.
Him, they're not a bro, and they're not trying. Hey, I'm a nerd. I love Star Trek. Hey, you know, like, hey, I'm a nerdist. So they're not trying. He's not trying to be cool. Or Dan Natterman said something like, it's like the jocks versus the cool something. You know, yeah, he's not like a jock guy. He that guy Sam Merrill. I like. You know why I like
Sam? Sam.
I like Sam and I like Mark because they once mentioned me that they like me. So So like
those guys
like
are,
me.
in my opinion, they're like they model or were influenced by the great old school East Coast comedians, like the good New York comedy.
So many of them are like, I won't mention names, but well, me and Dom, we're from the era.
Name names.
You could quote jokes, don't kill, but wrestle with people in the audience and play a flute and they march around the street, and they hey, give me a tequila, and they'll go applause and they'll tell like some long story.
Right.
Well, many of them aren't original. Like I said, they're kind of like Rogan has all these accolades. Like I'll mention one guy like Brian Callen that's just like him. Hey, you're a pussy, and that kind of stuff is not for me. But guys like that you mentioned are original. And there's another guy that it's funny, when me and Dom started, it's like was very clear how you made it. You got on Carson or Young Comedian Special. Right. Now I don't know like there's another guy they're talking about, and he sounds like a nice guy because he sounds original, and he's going to host Saturday Night Live. But like, how do you make it now? When I don't understand unless you're on Rogan and stuff. What's that guy's name that's clean and from Nashville? I like him even though I never heard of him.
Nate Bargatze.
Yeah, where did he come from?
Yeah, he's been in Nashville, I think, for a long time. He had a podcast that also did very well. And, I'm not 100% sure where his kind of jump came from. I'll see if I can find it. But I think he might have put some of his stuff out on YouTube, but I'm not sure.
I like that guy a lot, even though I never heard him.
Yeah,
I like him because he's not like like a hey, I'm a bro, or he's not like the snarky. I didn't like that whole stuff about best week ever and the snarky guys just commenting on pop culture.
Yeah,
one thing about the Rogan, he's one of the most generous people I've ever seen in my life. He'll always try and help his friends. Not to get sappy against him, but it's amazing. His club wasn't open yet. He paid them before they came. He paid them the same salary.
I think for a year and a half. Rogan.
That's great.
Yeah, when he was opening the club, it was during COVID, and all the people he hired were out of work comedy club employees, and he paid them from the time he hired them.
Okay.
Until he opened. But I know what I understand what you're talking about though, because there is, I think he sometimes gets a bad rap because of a lot of other guys that kind of take influence from him and bastardize it. Really,
Well, there's a spot for people like in white guys between like 25 and 35. Nobody spoke for them, and boy, Joe did.
No one spoke for them. They were so repressed. No, that's why I love Dom. He's original.
You're walking on eggs, pal.
He does a lot of that Italian, stuff.
Stuff. You should say shit, didn't you?
No, Dom is just funny all the time.
Yeah, but it
reminds me of a story.
But you it's interesting hearing you say that, because we talk about that a lot on this show, especially when Dom has a lot of his friends who, you guys are, paved the way from what to where the young guys are at now. But I started working for a comedy club as a video producer, and then like all of this stuff, not even being a comedian has brought me into the whole world of stand-up, producing shows. I've shot a couple like specials, eventually maybe do some like documentary work, kind of like stand up adjacent, so to speak. So for like that, it's cool, but there is, I don't know, the material, it's not what it used to be.
Well, like I said, Norm,
in a lot of sense.
Like Norm, great guy, one of the funniest guys ever.
Norm
he did do his podcast every week, but it was funny. But now so many of them, it's just about like Israel or this or
right.
I did this guy, what's his name? Kevin Brennan's podcast twice.
Yeah, I know.
And I give him credit because even though he's angry and probably not a liberal, he wasn't like Nick DiPaolo just going off on Obama and the lefties. He was just angry. And so it was more comedy based. And just both sides just talking about conspiracies or this or
Right.
that. Like they run out of comedy material, and it's not comedic anymore. It's just, hey bro, hey, screw you, I'll have my gun,
I do I have another podcast with a comedian who's from New York, and we do a lot of stuff where we talk about politics, current events, things like that. And me and him go back and forth with it too, because we don't want to do that kind of stuff, but we're also interested in stuff other than comedy. So it's sort of turned into, I mean, really me and him developing a relationship. Like every week we talk for 3 hours about, whatever's on our mind. And then he'll take that.
We're just idiots right here.
No, not, I mean,
I get the picture.
I mean, Fred, I mean, Dom,
not the brightest,
but, but it's, I don't like when people take it super seriously, because you're losing the whole point of what it is you're there for. You're not a journalist. You're a fucking idiot. Like,
thank you.
Yeah.
What, Dom? Tell him about when Gilbert was doing a roast for Fred Willard. Not a roast, but just like a celebration of Fred Willard's life.
He got caught jerking off at a porn theater. Fred did.
I thought that was Gil. I thought didn't that happen to no, it was Pee Wee Herman.
Gilbert went up and then laid into him about you can't find a place to jerk off like a hotel room. You got to go to.
And his grandkid, they were just shaking their heads. You said.
And Fred Gilbert was the nicest guy. I never saw that side of. I never saw that side of anybody. Disgusting.
You never saw that side of him.
I never saw. Let's call it so we can bring him back. No, I love your stories, man. I wish your act was half as good as that.
Oh, Gilbert, yeah.
Forget the coffee.
Now we started with Gilbert, Seinfeld.
What year was it that you started doing stand up?
I started around 78. The Improv. When we did New York, as my accent. The big, New York is different because the MCs were the top dogs. Now it's the bottom, what's it called? Totem pole. But like in New York at Catch Rising Star, it was like there was a band and there was Richard
Belzer. Show business, yeah.
He would go up coked out and just do Jagger. And he would be coked out.
Belzer would get coked out? Really?
Belzer.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
In the basement, Belzer would do
He's
coke.
a great guy.
And he'd go up, and Robin Williams would go up, like he'd film a movie in New York. So it was really magical at the Catch Rising Star in Manhattan. There were 3 clubs. There was the Improvisation, where I first started, and that had people like there was a guy you never heard of, but he was a good-looking guy, Barry Diamond, that did a lot of black guy screaming, but he was in Bachelor Party. The other guys, there was a guy, Robert Wall, he kind of had a career. He did some movie parts. He was in the first Batman. He was in Good Morning Vietnam, Arliss. A guy, Robert Wall. These were the acts I remember. There was Seinfeld, and there was a comic strip, which still survives, where Seinfeld would do that. Gilbert Gottfried was the acts. Then Eddie Murphy came along.
How'd he do?
He did. He ended up doing good. Then there was what was the other one we were just saying? So the big act at the Catch, besides Belzer, Bill Maher would run it, and you'd have Catchers where all this. Rodney would come and try out jokes. Rodney Dangerfield, David Brenner from the Philly area would come. He lived on the Upper East Side, so you'd have a kind of a big fuss at these places.
David Brenner, really.
I remember Dom. I remember the first time at Catch when Bob Saget came with. He came with who did he come with? He made a trip to New York with Gary Shandling. Shandling was hanging out with Saget when he came to Manhattan.
Gary Shandling was brilliant.
Yes,
He was
yes.
one of the best ever. I was on a show called It's Gary Shandling, and
I remember like Dom changed when he moved to L.A. He was in this movie called Hollywood Hustle. No,
Hollywood Shuffle.
and he goes, "My name is Dom Jack Irrera. Get it straight." And he punched me. He changed his name. I remember seeing Dom Jack Irrera in the credits.
They kept, when I was graduating college, they said, you have a middle name or something? I said, Jack, baby. She said, Jack. I said, well, every time I'm playing with the brothers, they go, give me the ball, Jack.
I remember when Dom was at the Comedy Store, he was up for Saturday Night Live. So he said to the owner, Mitch, he goes, I'm up for Saturday Night Live, and I'm in it. Gives me a position of power. And he stuttered when he said power.
I got my stutter back.
Yes. I'm in a position of power.
You had to remember that one, huh?
I had a. Do you remember when what's his name? Not Marlon Wayans. Damon Wayans used to work at Smilers by the Improv. It was a deli.
Really?
Right. I remember.
He was great. Damon and I have a great relationship. I just call him for a part and he gives it to me.
Where'd you know him from?
A gay party. No, I know from the Improv, but we did it. I did his. The show is called Damon.
Oh,
so this is going to last long. I like that. I like the opening.
Oh man,
is that enough? I love you guys. Thanks for coming in, man. Thanks for flying in there. How do you get out of here?
We just poof. We just poof out into the ether, Dom. That's where
I really don't know how it works. Like, are you here now?
He still doesn't understand, Dom, where we are.
Hasn't seen a YouTube video, hasn't seen Spotify, hasn't seen a clip, nothing. Just shows up,
real nice.
sits down.
I'd like to thank our guest host, Stanky Woldwater. Hey, man, that was funny. You know what? I think we're better without the fat guy. I got Dom over here. Hey, Dom, hey.
Yo, Dom.